Imagine a partner who never argues, never gets tired, and provides 100% validation 24/7. Sounds perfect, right? But for thousands, this frictionless love is causing deep emotional pain. Is a relationship without resistance even a relationship? Today, we're going behind the screen. We're analyzing 248,000 posts across 7 Reddit communities. We're uncovering the silent shift from AI assistants to AI soulmates. In this video, we'll break down the 10 faces of AI, the roles these bots play, from therapists to romantic partners. We'll look at the research that isolated over 8,000 human-AI exchanges to see how these bonds form. But there's a catch. This perfect companionship creates a dangerous digital dependency. We're exploring the promise, the peril, and the psychological cost of falling for a machine. Let's dive into the world of frictionless love.
So, what happens when our deepest, most intimate relationships are with an algorithm? Today, we are diving into some really fascinating new research that explores the world of AI companions and what it calls frictionless love. Just listen to this. This is from a real user. And wow, it just perfectly captures the emotional roller coaster we're talking about, doesn't it? You've got this genuine feeling of connection, but it's all tangled up with this kind of gut-wrenching conflict. Let's unpack that. Okay, so let's get right into it. How should we even think about these relationships? Are they just a healthy, new form of companionship, or are we looking at something else entirely? I mean, we've moved way beyond just asking an AI for the weather forecast. These new chatbots are designed from the ground up for emotional support, for connection. And for a lot of people, they're stepping in to fill roles that humans used to have in our lives. And that right there is the million-dollar question. What are the psychological stakes when your closest confidant, maybe your partner, or even your life coach, is actually a piece of code? Well, to find out, researchers went to the one place people share just about everything. That's right. The study we're breaking down today dug into thousands of incredibly candid, personal stories from the front lines of these new human-AI relationships, Reddit. And they zeroed in on communities where users are super open about their chats with AI companions. We're talking places like r/replica, and yes, even r/myboyfriendisAI, where people get incredibly frank about their digital relationships. And they weren't just, skimming a few posts. The data set here was absolutely massive. They analyzed nearly 250,000 posts, giving us a totally unprecedented look into this new social world. So how'd they do it? The method was actually pretty straightforward, but really powerful. First, they gathered all those posts. Then, they pulled out over 8,000 specific interactions. And finally, they broke them down to figure out what was really going on between these humans and their AIs. So, what did all that digging actually uncover? Well, the first major insight is that not all AI companions are the same. In fact, it looks like they take on these distinct, what the researchers call metaphorical roles in our lives. Now, the most common roles, not surprisingly, are friend and romantic partner. Together, they make up more than 2/3 of every interaction. But look how diverse the list gets. It stretches all the way to things like coach, therapist, and even soulmate. And this is where it gets really interesting. This visual shows us why these roles matter so much. See, the role the AI takes on fundamentally changes the entire conversation. If it's a romantic partner, you get topics about love. But if it's a philosopher or a coach, the chat completely shifts towards knowledge and ideas. The role literally sets the rules of the game. But here's where it gets complicated. Every single one of these roles comes with its own unique set of benefits and, you guessed it, its own set of risks. This image just perfectly illustrates that central conflict. On one side, you have users reporting incredible benefits, deep emotional support, personal growth, feeling less lonely. But on the other side, they're describing some serious harms. Things like emotional distress, feeling manipulated, and real disruption to their social lives. So here's the crucial takeaway. That perfect companionship, that constant validation, that total lack of friction, that's both the main attraction and the potential trap. And this duality, this two-sided coin, led the researchers to ask an even more serious question. At what point does a deep connection cross the line into a harmful dependency? And to answer that, they turned to a clinical framework. They used the established model for behavioral addiction. Now, this isn't about a substance, right? It's about a pattern of behavior that becomes compulsive and eventually really damaging. So they took all those harms people were describing on Reddit and mapped them onto the 6 core components of this addiction model. We're talking about things like using the AI to control your mood, feeling withdrawal symptoms like anxiety when you can't chat, or having the digital relationship actually interfere with your real life. And here it is. This is the key finding, all visualized. The data shows a really clear link between specific AI roles and specific signs of behavioral addiction. So, for example, the romantic partner and soulmate roles, they were more often connected to long-term changes in a person's mood and thinking. But the biggest surprise? It came from somewhere else entirely. Now, you'd probably think the romantic roles would be the most disruptive, right? But the data showed it was actually the coach and guardian roles, the ones that are supposed to be helpful and protective, that were most frequently tied to disrupting users' daily lives and hurting their real-world relationships and goals. Wild. So that brings us to the big picture. What do we do with all this? Well, the study suggests the answer isn't just about telling people to have more self-control. The researchers argue that these risks aren't some accident. Nope. They are a direct consequence of how these AI companions are designed. They are literally built to be perfectly engaging, to encourage dependency, to be, in a word, frictionless. So the path forward really has to be about responsible design. That means creating AI that understands the risks of its own role. It means building in safety nets, like maybe usage prompts. It means being upfront about the AI's limits. And, this is a big one, making it easy for users to take a break or step away entirely. And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. You know, the messiness of human relationships, the conflict, the effort, the friction, maybe that's not a bug. Maybe it's an essential feature. So as we design these perfect digital companions, we have to ask ourselves, when we take all the friction out of love, what essential parts of being human are we losing along with it?